Join me at my table.
Hello. Welcome.
I don't have to be somewhere where I'm not wanted. I'm going to have my own table. And the people who want to be with me will be in my life. And I am so happy about the life that I'm creating.
Meri Brown, wow, I am so incredibly proud of her. Seriously, she deserves all the love, the celebration, and the real, genuine care in the world. She's got so much catching up to do when it comes to life and happiness, and I am beyond excited to see what her future looks like. I just hope her table is always surrounded by people who treat her with the kindness and respect she's always deserved. After all, she's been undervalued and underappreciated for far too long, and no one should ever go through that. And just to be clear, I'm not saying she was perfect or didn't make mistakes. Of course, she did. But right now, I'm just so freaking happy for her, and I needed to share that feeling. Honestly, I don't think her personality and mine would mesh enough for us to be close friends, but the important thing is that she's found her people now. After so many lonely years, it's such a relief to see her surrounded by people who truly love her for who she is. The best thing that ever happened to her was connecting with Jen. Those two have such a genuine friendship. Jen is the kind of BFF who lets Meri be her true self, and when needed, isn't afraid to call her out on her crap. Now that's the kind of friendship we all need. Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to ThreadoraTalks, where the conversations are always next level. I'm your host, Jenna, and today, we're turning things up a notch. Trust me, this is one video you do not want to miss, so let's dive right in. Okay, so I've been trying to figure out if I'm missing something, or if maybe I'm just too jaded because I watched this week's episode and didn't see the deep reflection and remorse that apparently everyone else saw. To me, it was just another display of a narcissist grieving the only way he knows how. Full disclaimer, I'm a child of a narcissist, so maybe I'm extra sensitive to this, but I've been reading all week about how people see Kody in a new light now, and I'm just not there. Honestly, I didn't feel like Kody was as genuine as people are claiming. Take the fire building scene, for example. It was so clearly staged to talk about Garrison's passing. Robyn probably had their script memorized, and I'm pretty sure her acting was so wooden that it made Kody seem more authentic in comparison. Kody said all the right words, but there was no heart behind it. And here's why. Narcissists have a hard time processing death. While everyone else was talking about Garrison, the person he was, his struggles, their love for him, Kody's focus was, well, Kody. It was all about how he was affected, how he didn't know how to do life without him. The whole birthdays and holidays thing, that wasn't about Garrison. That was about what Kody cares about. And that line, I want to take my boy home. He said it over and over again. It's like he was trying to force the sympathy he wasn't getting, much like my narcissistic mother would do. She would say something that got her attention and then repeat it, as if it was a magic phrase that would keep the focus on her. I'm not saying Kody doesn't feel grief, but it's clear that his pain is all about him. Narcissists can only process things from their own perspective, and this scene screamed of that. Now, I know grief looks different for everyone. I've lost several close family members myself, and my reactions have varied. But I've also watched how my narcissistic mother grieved, and this felt way too familiar. I'm not saying Kody didn't love his son, or that he doesn't feel bad, but his emotional range seems limited by his disorder. It's almost like he's more worried about how he's perceived than actually processing the loss. And honestly, it feels like he's trying to drum up sympathy more than anything else. Look, I get it. People grieve in their own way. But as a child of a narcissist, I can't help but notice how Kody's behavior just screams narcissism. No mention of Garrison's pain, no concern for Janelle or Gabe, just Kody, Kody, Kody. It's all about his feelings, as usual. By the end of the episode, I was left thinking, that's it. I had heard all the comments about how this episode was supposed to show real remorse, but it just didn't land. And with other cast members still mentioning that Kody hasn't tried to make amends, It really came off like a classic narcissistic reaction to devastating news. Honestly, I'm glad I wasn't the only one who felt that way. In Season 19, Episode 22, I'm pretty sure Brianna's responses at dinner were not just scripted, but dripping with sarcasm. You know the type, those lines that sound one way, but actually mean the complete opposite. It's like a direct translation of how my adult kid would talk. The first time I watched, I thought, this feels off, but now I'm absolutely certain she was throwing shade. If Brianna were my kid, I'd have just laughed and said, well said. And then there's Kody. When he said something about his and Robyn's kids admiring their love, oh boy, it was like he completely missed the sarcasm and just took it at face value. I'm over here thinking, she's being a brat, and yet it went straight over his head. Kody's always been the type to just lap up any positive comment, no matter how far from the truth it is, as long as it strokes his ego. Brianna was definitely making fun of him, but naturally, he took it as a compliment. Classic. Grief is one of those deeply personal experiences, and if you've ever been through it, you know how messy and unpredictable it can be. The original trio, let's call them the OG3, showed what grief really looks like: raw, immediate, and full of contradictions. There's the denial, the questioning, the doubts, the sudden overwhelming need to be there for each other, even when you're not sure you can, and the moments when silence says it all. It's not pretty, but it's real. Then there's Kody and Robyn, who seem to be putting on a bit of a show. Take that fireside chat, for example. You know when you're looking straight at someone, but your eyes are actually darting around, pretending to focus? That's exactly how Kody came across. He was saying the right things, the dad things, but none of it felt authentic. The episode aired 14 months after Garrison's death, and yet, according to the kids, Kody still hadn't really made the effort to fix things with them. It's almost like he was mourning the idea of Garrison, the younger version he had in his life. But the real, grown-up Garrison, it doesn't seem like he had that emotional connection. And hey, that's not uncommon in fractured relationships. But the grief Kody displayed felt like a performance rather than a genuine emotion. Now, when you look at the mothers, it's a whole different story. Their grief was palpable. Heartbreak, vulnerability, real pain. You could see the depth of it in their expressions and actions. It was real, not rehearsed. Grief, though, it's personal. When I lost my daughter, I shut down completely. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it, other than my therapist. If someone pushed, I might drop a phrase or two just to get them off my back. But mostly, I just wanted to change the subject and get out of the conversation. There's no one right way to grieve, and anyone who tells you there is, they don't get it. The idea that grief has a proper public display is not only unfair, it's kind of vile. Every person processes loss differently, and there's no one-size-fits-all guide for how grief should look. Sure, everyone's entitled to their opinions. I get that. But for me, when it comes to how families grieve, I don't think it's as dramatic or as neatly packaged as some might expect. It's not about ticking off boxes of how it should look. Families are unique, and grief, how you deal with it, how you express it, looks different for everyone. Meri beat Janelle to the punch when it came to leaving Kody. In fact, this season, Meri flat out tells everyone that she wasn't spending Thanksgiving with the family because she was no longer part of it. She claimed she was sick and spent the day in bed, but let's be real, she had plans to head over to a friend's house. Meanwhile, Janelle had her Christmas tree up when they had their big blowout, so it seems like the fallout happened after Thanksgiving. According to a quick Google search, Meri officially ended things with Kody in early 2023, while Janelle called it quits in December 2022, after nearly 3 decades of marriage. Both had been distanced from Kody for a while before making it official. Fast forward to the holiday season after Janelle and Kody's argument. Meri spent it with KR, but after that, Meri was left to celebrate alone. And while the big fight between Janelle and Kody happened a year before Meri, decided she wasn't going to Thanksgiving. It's clear that no matter how you slice it, Meri stayed far too long. Sure, the comments online are quick to criticize Janelle for waiting too long to leave, especially when it comes to her birthday dinner with Kody. People can be brutal, but in the grand scheme, Janelle didn't take nearly as long to make the break as Meri did. Let's not forget, Kody had checked out of his marriage with Meri years ago, and she stuck around like it was nothing. I couldn't wait to hear the podcast episode from Notes to Self 444. The one that said, "We don't know a single family in this AUB community that hasn't gone through what the Browns did, someone choosing to exit life." Wow, that's just reassuring, right? I started watching that show years ago because, hey, I'm always curious about how other people live. The Browns, bless their hearts, really wanted to convince everyone that their family was special and, of course, make some money along the way. But honestly, what they ended up doing was making a case for why polygamy should be illegal. I get it, religious freedom and all that. But in this particular religion, too much abuse, too many people spiraling into suicide. Some manage to escape it, some don't. I really hope one day the Browns will actually use their platform to advocate for those stuck in polygamy who do want out. They could help others see that it's okay to walk away. If they did that, it would be a real tribute to Garrison, helping save the next person who can't bear what this lifestyle throws at them. Because this right here is what real polygamy looks like. And it's tragic. It's also interesting, though, because Garrison was raised in polygamy, but was lucky enough to escape a lot of the cult teachings when they moved to Vegas. None of the kids wanted to stay in a lifestyle from the get-go, so I'd say they weren't too far gone in the brainwashing. But of course, things get complicated. Later on, Garrison got baptized by the Mormon Church, then left that too, only to start drinking alcohol. Maddie mentioned that one of the things Garrison struggled with was social media. He felt like he was behind. Typical, right? It's almost like comparing your life to everyone else's. Thanks to Instagram is super helpful when you're dealing with childhood trauma and family dysfunction. But here's the kicker. Research shows that adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, set people up for future struggles. Add in the pressure of being on reality TV, the chaos of social media, the broken family dynamics, the anxiety, depression, and substance abuse. And yeah, it's no surprise it all just collapsed in on him. It's a sad equation that was always bound to add up. All right, let's just imagine a world where the Browns never fell apart. No drama, no divorces, just one big happy, or not so happy, family, living out their perfect polygamous dreams. The kids are all grown up, and the last one has finally packed up and left for the big wide world. So what happens next? Picture it. The original 3 wives sitting on a porch somewhere, in their rocking chairs, sipping lemonade, and pretending they're okay with Kody being off doing whatever it is he does. If this was the ideal scenario, you'd probably see them hanging around their adult kids and grandkids, maybe even getting the occasional visit from Kody. But I'd bet it would mostly be a surface-level thing. Kody would stay in the background, maybe on social media, posting a few happy family pictures and, who knows, maybe even being grateful that Robyn was there to take on the full-time Kody job. At least he wouldn't be dragging them all into every drama. If they stayed on the show, and, let's face it, it would have been over way sooner if they didn't have that train wreck of a storyline. We'd be watching less of the knife in the kidney moments, and more of Robyn looking smug, while the other wives escaped to their adult children's homes for some peace and quiet. They'd be living that traditional polygamy life where you kind of just fade into the background once your kids are grown, and do your best to avoid the drama while clinging to whatever family bonds you have left. Now, if we're talking about if the Browns had never made that ill-advised, pricey move to Flagstaff, we'd be looking at a totally different situation. Imagine they'd just stayed in that perfect cul-de-sac setup from the early days, where they could be close enough to pop in on the grandkids and kids, but far enough apart to avoid any awkward "why are you here?" moments. Central location, everyone could go home to the same place, no one getting too claustrophobic. But no, they had to go and make it all complicated. Classic Kody move. And if they didn't have the show to keep them in the spotlight, who knows? Maybe they would have just slipped into quiet, humble lives, living with far less, dealing with the usual wife hierarchy, where Robyn's the new top dog and the others are left figuring out how to deal with it. I could totally see them all moving to a smaller house or setting up some homestead back on Kody's dad's land in Wyoming, living simple lives, escaping the mess of the spotlight, and probably, honestly, avoiding the chaos of Flagstaff altogether. I often wonder what Kody's mom really thinks about him and Robyn. Like, does she secretly shake her head at the whole mess? What about all the divorces? You know, back in the day, she seemed pretty fond of the OG 3 wives. But now, who knows? I pay good money to hear her thoughts on it, especially after his dad straight up told him he couldn't pull this whole polygamy thing off. Surprise! Turns out, Dad was right. So yeah, I'm really curious where Kody's mom stands on all this. But plot twist, rumor has it she has dementia now. Where did I hear that? Probably my Keltie, right? Anyway, it's a shame, because I bet she could tell us a thing or two about what she really thinks of Kody's circus. You'd think after dealing with all of Cheryl's jealousy for years, she might have some sympathy for Christine. I mean, Christine reached her limit, found someone who actually cares about her, and got out. Kody doesn't get to act like it's some shock that people get tired of being treated like a pawn in his little game. And then there's Janelle, who refused to just kick her kids to the curb so Kody wouldn't have to worry about COVID exposure. Like, imagine being in her shoes, seeing your kids get tossed aside just because Kody can't handle the idea of being a dad unless it's on his terms. If she left, though, it would have been super messy, and with Win, well, not the easiest guy to deal with. But hey, he was still the leader of the family, so they stuck it out for the sake of the religion. As for Robyn, Kody's probably a huge disappointment to his mom. She probably sees right through the whole love is earned shtick he pulls. He's been playing the whole respect and adoration game without actually putting in the effort to maintain healthy family relationships. And surprise, surprise, it's all falling apart just like his dad predicted. Kody's definitely letting people down. His dad, one of his sons. And honestly, if you're Kody's mom, you can't help but sit back and think, yep, he should have listened to his dad. Now, he's out there making excuses, talking about protecting his younger kids from his older kids, trying to spin it like he's being the responsible one. But I'm pretty sure his mom is just over there shaking her head, thinking, what an idiot. Like, she still loves him, but you know she's disappointed. Disappointed that her son couldn't keep his family together, even though it was so obvious he was going to mess it up. Oh, Robyn's jealousy is on full display, isn't it? During that whole conversation about Kody fixing the couch for Maddie, she couldn't hide her annoyance. Her face was practically seething when she found out he was finally taking the time to fix something for his daughter. And then, in true Robyn fashion, she throws out that sarcastic remark about how it's fine because she's had a hand-me-down couch for years. It's like, girl, we see right through that passive-aggressive act. It's honestly wild how she's so threatened by Kody's kids. And let's not forget Kody himself. He's just as bad. Remember how upset he got when Maddie and Caleb moved to North Carolina? It wasn't about them being happy. It was about them giving his other kids another potential place to settle. Then, of course, he somehow managed to get Sable, my Keltie, and Savannah to move there too, with the rest either sticking around Vegas or heading back to Utah. Kody being jealous of his own kids' successful lives and marriages. Gross. What really got under my skin, though, was how Robyn acted about the whole thing. She was so petty about it. You could tell Maddie was not one of her favorites. There's no way Robyn would ever let one of her daughters go without new furniture. After all, to quote Kody, she's the shopping queen. But when it comes to Janelle's kids, Yeah, they were always the favorites, and Robyn's been working overtime to change that narrative. And don't even get me started on how Kody carries Saul around like he's the only kid who matters, while Truly is left in the dust. It's like she doesn't even exist to him sometimes. Alright, now I want to hear from you. Sound off in the comments and let me know where you stand. Agree, disagree, or something in between. And if you're enjoying the vibe, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're always in the loop. Your voice counts, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for hanging with me.